thank you guys for being here. As I said, permitting is a #1 priority in growing Pittsburgh. And this is an important executive order that we're signing today. It gives multiple departments 60 days to get us answers on how we are going to revamp this. We actually have 2 fellows from Harvard that are with us. I went to the Kennedy School a couple weeks ago, and they are giving us 2 students to help analyze some of the data in permitting, because we know permitting is not a barrier just for major developers. This is for residents. This is for small business owners that want to start companies in Pittsburgh. And this is something that we talked about. We know that we can grow Pittsburgh if we speed these processes up, and that we're open not only for business, but for new homeowners and people that want to build or extend their own home in Pittsburgh. And there are a lot of barriers to that. So this executive order is going to call on multiple departments to get this done. We have permits at obviously PLI, DOMI, as well as planning are the keys to speeding up this process. And we also are going to be meeting with some more architects, contractors, unions, community builders, affordable housing developers to speed up our permitting process. And they are all collectively going to come together and meet with us. We have been meeting with them over the past few months to get their stories on what the holdup is, especially community groups and small developers who actually have a big problem in getting through the process because they don't have what larger developers do. So this is something that's really important to a lot of us, and to grow Pittsburgh, we need an agenda like this that's going to speed up our permitting process. So I'll sign the order and then I'll take questions, if that's okay. Is that okay, everybody? All right. I'm asking you guys if it's okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Small chair. I assume a pen is in here. All right. Guys, I can take questions from here. Is this easier for everybody? Okay. Is this better, Molly, to take them from here? Okay. Sorry, everybody. First time doing it. We're figuring out. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
This is not the new liaison for VLI. Is that part of this executive order?
It is, well, it's part of our administration, but that individual is going to be helpful in getting you through this process. Too often we hear that, I'm calling this person or that person, and it's not direct. And I think the mayor's office and the public deserve somebody that's going to answer their call and get them a quick answer from PLI or DOMI or whomever they're waiting on a permit for. There's too many uncertainties right now that we have to streamline these processes.
So you said that this gives 60 days for various departments to get back to you with what and what departments?
Yes, so the bulk of it is, as I said, PLI, DOMI, and planning. There are some things that we already know that we can probably do within those 60 days to speed this process up, but this is going to be a full overhaul of the entire process in 60 days. That's our order. We want them to do it. We need fast action on this, especially when you come to springtime when people are going to start building or wanting to build and they're still waiting on permits.
What could ultimately be changed?
Oh, I think there's a lot of things. If you look at major cities, and we talked about this a lot, New York, for example, you almost have a permit by right after 4 weeks. Now, once you get to a permit process, you're not in planning or zoning. You're already through the community process. This is just getting a permit to install a light fixture, to put in a curb cut at your project, whatever it might be. But those things have just slowed the entire process down. So for us, pie in the sky goal, can we get to 4 weeks? That would be amazing. But I think, we have to set goals like that so that it's not going to cost you more money to do work or a capital project in Pittsburgh.
What's your sense of is there a capacity component to this in terms of how much staffing you have and what can be achieved by the staffing?
Yeah, I think that's part of what we're looking at. You also need inspectors, and we do know that in PLI they even have some equipment that's down. They're short a couple vehicles that get the inspectors out. So it's those minor details that we want to have secure and ready to go. So when we revamp the entire system, we know exactly where we're going to put capital dollars into. And if we have to streamline processes with outside groups, if possible, then we'll do that. I think having architects and construction companies involved with this, as well as unions who see this on a daily basis, is going to be very helpful for them to point out the issues that we have internally in the city. And I will also say, to our benefit sometimes, we always take blame for it, but sometimes we give you our recommendations and the developer or the small contractor isn't responding back to us, and that slows down the process. So they also have to be accountable for some of these hiccups in the process as well.
You mentioned there being some things you could potentially do within that 60 days while we wait for this. Can you give us any indication of what that could look like, what you've already kind of explored?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, working with, again, these groups that have already pointed things out to us, like within our system, when you apply for a permit, what slows that process down? Can you have pre-construction meetings more and more often so you're not answering all these questions all the time? And that's what the purpose of our liaison, to get everybody in that room and say, okay, we all support this project, community supports this project, how do we get it done faster? Let's all sit in a room, so when we leave that room, Domi can't come back, and I'm just using Domi as an example, they can't come back and say, oh, now you need these 6 more permits. That's not right. We need to be upfront with what you need in order to get these projects done, and we lack that communication right now.
You said this is kind of a first step. Just try to give a picture of what the overall goal is. I know it's permitting more efficient, but what does that look like?
More efficient, I think at the end of the day, by doing something like this, if we can get you a permit quickly, then it shows that you can build your home in Pittsburgh. We can build more affordable housing quickly in Pittsburgh. We can grow again a lot faster, because a lot of people don't look at the city because they know sometimes it could take 8 or 9 months to get a permit. Why are you going to do that and your overhead costs go up, especially for small businesses and entrepreneurs that are on razor thin margins? Why are they going to wait for the city to do a permit when they can go to the suburbs and have a place already ready for them? So this is going to help us grow Pittsburgh, because people need to know that their government is going to work for them and make sure that projects that they want to do happen, and happen fast.
Are there particular people in the development world who you've consulted with on this?
There's some, the architect firms, there's an acronym for them, but we've met with a number of architects, we've met with some contractors, and as well as unions, and a couple of community organizations that do this type of work to just see how quick it can go. I can give you, do you want specific, probably specific individuals or companies?
Whatever you can tell me.
Okay, yeah, I mean, we've met with the Master Builders Association, the architects, I'll get you that acronym for that group. Yeah, there we go, thank you. You need a job here? You can. Those individuals so far, we've met with, I'm trying to think who else is on our list. We've met with a number of people so far. Unions, obviously, met with a number of unions about this project. Trying to think who else. There's a list that I'll get you that we've already started talking to. Yeah.
What made this the day one thing that you wanted to do first?
Well, I mean, I think it goes back to the point that if you want to grow Pittsburgh, government has to be efficient. And this is something that we've talked about. And I think, making this a priority right out of the gate, showing that permitting, we can speed it up in Pittsburgh, opens everybody's eyes that, hey, maybe I can do business in Pittsburgh again. Hey, I was going to move out, but now it might not be that hard to get a permit. I should stay in the city that I love. And I think that's the reason to do a permitting process quickly. And not only that, we also have, a short window to fix this. And we want to do it right away, because we want you to now know when you come here in the spring or in the summer, you're going to get a permit a lot faster.
How many different kinds of permits are you talking about? You mentioned.
Oh, there's a lot. I mean, Domi, off the top of my head, has roughly 6. So we've already met internally with our departments as well, so I forgot to mention that, I'm sorry. But why do we need 6 permits to, put in a curb cut, or make sure when I come out of this development I can only make a left or a right? Like, there's so much that's boggled down our system right now that we have to make these changes.
So as part of the conversation, maybe reducing the number?
Reducing the number of permits, some are it's too much of an effort for somebody to do business in Pittsburgh. And again, it's not just for the developers. This is for, neighbors and residents that are waiting on permits to make their lives easier. And we cannot slow those processes down, especially community organizations that want to do projects.
How does this interact with the types of developments or new things in a neighborhood that might require a meeting or informing neighbors of what's might be?
Yeah, this is, again, if somebody's building a new development, you're going through the neighborhood process. We are not going to cut out the neighborhood process. That's not what this is. This is when it's internal and we can control it. That's a step that comes after the fact. So if you have to go through the planning department or zoning to get an ordinance or a variance, that process remains the same. This is once you're already past that, how do we move it forward? Because at that point, it's gotten all the approvals. This is where it stalls out.
So this is a step that would happen after?
This is a step that already exists. It just takes way too long at that point, yeah. So community processes still exist, separate conversation, yeah.
A number of developers told us last year that they were upset that they couldn't get in touch with the mayor's office when they were working on things. Can they expect more access?
Yeah, definitely. I think having a liaison is helpful. I think, maybe it's my fault, but I think everybody in the city has my cell phone. So they can definitely get in touch with the mayor's office, and we want you to. We want to hear from you about your struggles in this process so that we can make sure that we can put out a good product. Because as I said, these are projects that are going to impact our neighbors and our residents. And if you're already through the community process, everybody has support most likely behind these projects too.
You're talking about the PLI liaison again. Who is that again, and what exactly would that role be?
Sean Harrington was with Dan Frankel's office and is coming over for this. Yeah.
And what does that role do for the layman who might not know?
Yeah, that role is, if you have applied for a permit and you're working with PLI and you're getting, stumped, or you don't know where to go and you've reached an end, please contact our office and they will get you through that process. But this is somebody that can also take you through from the very beginning of your project all the way through. And I think that's important, especially when you're trying to change the mindset of the permitting department and the process. How do we do it and how do we streamline these things better, especially right away while we're going through this process, to have somebody like Sean there to walk you through it. And then once we get this down and we make these drastic changes early, then the process and the system should be worked out quickly.
And is any of this kind of built in or interacting with the one-stop PGH counter, the PLI and other permits counter?
Yeah, it all falls into the same boat. And we just have to figure out why it's taking so long, and we have to get our own deadlines. Like, we want to move projects quicker, and permitting is something that slowed us down for way too long.
Last question?
Is
Can we get a
there,
copy of the actual ordinance?
Yes.
There you
I'll email that out to you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
is there Governor Shapiro's made a big deal about permits as well. They talked about benchmarking. So is there a benchmarking process or a dashboard that's going to be made public for any of this and speeding up the process?
Yeah, that's the goal, and I think, working with the governor's office to see how they have gotten things done, and we did have communication throughout the last couple months with the department that he has, and I forget the director there, but we have had conversations with the governor's office on how he's been able to speed up the process. And I think, it's a good sign that if all of Pennsylvania, especially our city, is rowing in that direction, that we're willing to speed up a process so that you can get stuff done here a lot quicker. It only benefits all Pennsylvanians and the city itself. Thank you, guys. All right.